Hey guys, I'm Steph and welcome back to my beauty stash. Today I'm going to be ranking my NATASHA DENONA eyeshadow palettes. NATASHA DENONA recently released her new Smoke and Vision collection, which did include a new mini palette, which I'm so happy to see because I love these mini palettes. They're an affordable way to try an amazing luxury makeup brand at only 25 bucks. This is a mini xenon palette, so it's definitely going to be included in today's ranking. For today's ranking, I have 11 eyeshadow palettes total. I was hoping I had 12, keep it an even number. That just means I need to go out and buy another mini palette. There's actually a couple mini palettes that I don't have and I've had my eye on. So maybe on my next Sephora haul, I'll definitely add those to my cart. But I've seen some of my favorite YouTubers do this type of video very recently on their channel. I saw my friend Christy do it. Hi Christy, hope you're doing well. I saw Samantha March do it. I believe Samantha March did it maybe last week or 2 weeks ago on her channel. And I thought, you know what? With the release of the new Smoke and Vision collection, I noticed I was building up a NATASHA DENONA eyeshadow palette collection and I wanted to rank them for you guys. And hopefully it will help you guys make some buying decisions. So let's jump into today's video. In case you're wondering about the makeup I'm wearing, I've had it on all day. I am just getting home from work, but the eyeshadow palette is the one you just saw a video on and it is from Sugar Drizzle. And this is the Pizza Kitty eyeshadow palette. It is a duochrome palette. Super cute palette. I think this is the cutest palette I have in my entire collection. Pizza, cats, burgers, makeup, and duochromes. I mean, what more could you ask for? I will have it linked in the description box of this video in case you want to check it out. And I will also link my review video over this palette, but that is what I have going on my eyes. And then for foundation, I'm using the Fenty Eavesdrop, and I'll just list everything else in the description box of this video in case you are liking the way my makeup looks. It's been on for over 9 hours, so just saying. Let's get down to business, guys. If you want to see my NATASHA DENONA eyeshadow palette ranking video, keep on watching. All right, so coming in at number 11, we have the first of 6 mini palettes. And this is the mini Tropic palette. Now, there is a larger version of this palette. It is one of the more higher priced palettes at $129. All of these mini palettes retail for $25. I've had this in my stash for a couple of years now, and you guys know I love colorful makeup, well, obviously. But I don't know what it is with this palette. It's not the formula. It's just, I feel like I need some other shades. Like I need a couple more matte shades in order to achieve the looks I want to create. I do like the shades, don't get me wrong, but I feel this is more of a companion palette and not like a full look palette, which you most certainly could do a full look, but I personally feel like I'm missing a matte or two, so that's why it's ending up in the number 11 spot. All right, guys, so coming in at number 10, we have the first large scale eyeshadow palette, and that is the Trio Chrome palette. This beauty retails for a whopping $129, and this is the color story of Miss Trio Chrome. Now, the column down the center, these 3 shades right here, those are the Trio Chrome shades, and everything else in the palette are matte shades. I enjoy the matte shades in this palette very much, and I like the color story of this palette very much. I am not overly impressed with the Trio Chromes, however. I do feel they're a little bit on the weak side. I've definitely tried indie makeup brands that are way less expensive than this, and they have a much better formula. I was looking for and expecting something a little bit different, a little bit better with this eyeshadow palette. And for me, these Trio Chrome shades and the fact that there's only 3 of them and the palette is named Trio Chrome, I just thought that maybe we could have gotten a few more. Maybe an entire row instead of a column would have been nice. I think having 5 different Trio Chromes would have been spectacular, but 5 Trio Chromes that actually pack a punch. I feel like the ones in this palette are just okay. And for $120, I don't want any shade to be just okay. I wanted those Trio Chromes to be just as good as the matte shades that are in this palette. So I was left a little bit disappointed, and unfortunately, I don't find myself myself reaching for this palette all that much because of those shades. Next on my list is the mini Zendo palette. This palette was released, I think about a year ago, around this time last year. I love the shimmer shades that are in this palette. They are so pretty. But the two matte shades, while I still think that they're great and they perform well, and that's one thing I do want to mention from this palette on out, I don't have any issues with any of the shades in particular. I'm going based off of the color story and what I gravitate towards. And I think this is a nice color story, but for me, I would have liked to have seen maybe 3 matte shades and 2 shimmer shades. Maybe a shade a little bit deeper than this one. Maybe instead of making this a shimmer shade, make it a matte shade instead, and then I think I would have been more drawn to the palette. I'm placing this one here in the number 9 spot just because I don't reach for it all that often. Coming in at number 8, we have the Mini Love palette. Now, this color story I like, and this shade right here is what I was hoping to see in this palette over here. So let me just hold these up next to each other, or one on top of each other, and you can kind of see what I mean about including that darker shade in the Mini Zendo. Mini Zendo is at the top, Mini Love is at the bottom. So I would have definitely have loved to seen this shade instead of this shade over here in the Mini Zendo. But going back to the Mini Love palette, I think this is a really cute color story. It was released for Valentine's Day of, was it Valentine's Day this year? Yeah, I believe it was Valentine's Day this year of 2021. Wow, it seems like that was a long time ago. But it's a cute color story. I do reach for it somewhat. I would love to pick up the full-size version of the Love palette. That's one of the medium-size palettes, and that one retails for $65. I think I might pick that up during the next Sephora sale, but that palette is the bigger sister to this Mini Love palette. I do like the color story in here a lot. I think it is perfect for Valentine's Day, and it was a nice collection that she released along with this Mini Love palette. I also picked up the Mini Love Cheek Duo. It was a cream blush and a really pretty, like a duochrome highlighter. That palette I do enjoy, and I also enjoy using this Mini Love palette. Number 7, we have my very first Natasha Denona purchase, and that is the Mini Lila palette. I'm not too sure if they are still making this one, but I love the color story of this palette. I love these two shades together specifically. I think that is what drew me to this palette. And again, this was my very first purchase, my very first experience with Natasha Denona. And as you can see, I've built up quite a collection. And I like these palettes for that reason. Because if you're somebody who's new to the brand, you might not feel comfortable paying $65 or $129 for an eyeshadow palette from a brand you have zero experience with. I think pricing these at $25, giving you something that's compact, easy to travel with, easy to try out. I think this is a great idea that she had by doing these mini size palettes. This Mini Lila palette was my introduction to Natasha Denona, and because I enjoyed it so much, I've clearly bought in others, but I think she's doing a fantastic job by releasing these mini palettes, giving us that great formula at a very affordable price tag. Coming in at number 6 is her most recent release, and this is the Mini Xenon palette. This is the black and white eyeshadow palette. You have 4 matte shades and 1 shimmer in the center. This was a nice palette to work with. It was easy to work with, but this is definitely a companion palette. I think the shades all blended out really easily, and I will definitely have this video in the description box in case you want to check it out. Now, in the video that I made reviewing this collection, the Smoke and Vision collection, including this palette, this matte black shade, this matte black is called Blackest Black Matte. Now, she has a single shade that is named exactly the same thing, but one of my viewers out there, hi Michelle, she educated me on this, and she said that the black that is in this palette is a more blendable version, a little bit lighter version than the one that she sells as a single. So just know that. And I can definitely see that because I was left a little taken aback by the pigmentation of this black shade. I didn't mind it personally since I am of a fair skin tone. It was really easy for me to blend out and then pack on and just control the intensity of the color. But my friend Michelle did tell me that the single shade is way more pigmented and not necessarily meant to be blended out. So you can definitely use it like to pack on the lid or use it as an eyeliner, whereas this shade is definitely meant to be blended out and smoked out in the crease or the lower lash line. So thank you so much, Michelle, for giving me that information. Overall, guys, this is a really solid palette, and if you want something nice and compact that's easy to travel with and that's going to be a good companion to maybe other colorful palettes that you have in your stash, this is definitely a good one to pick up. Coming in at number 5 is the first medium-sized eyeshadow palette, and this is the Bronze palette. This was my first medium-sized eyeshadow palette from Natasha Denona. This came out in the summer of last year, so summer of 2020. Now this palette contains a nice mixture of matte and shimmer, as well as a couple cream to powder shades, and if I'm not mistaken, it might be these two right here. I know for sure it's this one. It could also be this one. That is like her special cream to powder formula. I love the color story of this palette. I think sometimes I gravitate more towards warm tone shades, and if you love a good warm tone eyeshadow look, this is definitely a palette you'd want to have in your stash. You do get a good sized mirror with it, and it is really sturdy packaging, and you can pop out all of the shades and maybe put them into your own palette. All of the larger Natasha Denona palettes, they have the little holes in the back, so you can just pop out the shades and mix them around as you will. But do keep in mind, if you do try to move them around, the shade names aren't going to follow, so just FYI on that. But I think this is a really beautiful color story. I think it's very complementary to many different skin tones, and I'm very happy that I picked this palette up. I also picked up the Face Quad. It was a bronzer, blush, and highlighter. Ugh, no, that is actually probably the worst Natasha Denona palette that I have. I'll put a picture of it right here so you know maybe not to check that one out. I don't know why I didn't return it. It was my first face palette from Natasha Denona. Thank God I didn't let that palette keep me from buying other Natasha Denona face palettes, because I've loved all of the other ones that I've bought after that. It was just that one particular palette that, it just didn't work for me at all. This eyeshadow palette though works fantastic. Highly recommend checking this one out. Alright guys, coming in at number 4 is the Zendo palette. This palette was released earlier this year. Actually, was it like 2 months ago, 3 months ago maybe? And this is the color story of this palette. Guys, to make things really easy, I'm just gonna link my Natasha Denona playlist in a pinned comment of this video. That way you can just pick and choose which videos you wanna watch. I do have videos on almost all of the palettes that I'm showing you, maybe give or take 1 or 2 of the minis, but I most definitely have a review video over this, and in that video, I'm of course giving you guys dupes. The main dupe I found for this palette was the LA Girl Hey Hey Vacay eyeshadow palette, which I think comes in at about $16, and this is a $65 eyeshadow palette. I don't mind paying the $65 for an eyeshadow palette, for a Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. I think it's a justifiable price tag. It's hard, I'll be honest, to pay over $100. That's a bit much. I think, and I hope she releases more palettes this size. I think it's a perfect price point for the quality of her shadows, and it makes it easier for more people to try the brand out. I love that she's giving us neutral shades as well as some colorful shades. Is this a new and different color story? No. But is it a new and different color story for Natasha Denona in her amazing formula? Yes. So that's why I had no issues picking it up. I do enjoy this color story very much, and this could easily be your one and done eyeshadow palette. Number 3 is the Glam palette. This is a beautiful, elegant, cool toned eyeshadow palette. And seeing as to how I don't have a lot of cool toned palettes in my stash, That's why I'm ranking this up here at number 3. And also because the quality of the shadows, the performance, the shimmers in this palette are beautiful. Like, this would be such a beautiful palette to wear on your wedding day, for a special occasion, for prom, or just for every day going to work. These shades can definitely be built up, or you can wear them really lightly. Maybe you can just do a nice dusting of this shade in the crease and then make your lid pop with any of the other shimmer shades that are in here. Again, this is that medium size palette. This is a $65 palette. I think this is just perfect. These palettes, the medium and the mini, are definitely my favorites from Natasha Denona, and I really hope we see more of them very soon. This color story to me, while being neutral, even though you all know I love colorful makeup, this is just a beautiful color story. I definitely had to include this in the top 3. I just think it's just so pretty to look at, and you'd be surprised at the amount of looks you can create with it. I think she did an amazing job on this Glam palette. Number 2. Number 2 is a palette I've had in my stash for a while, and it is the last of the mini palettes. This is the Mini Nude palette. This palette travels with me all the time because it is that perfect warm tone eyeshadow palette that I can create a full look with. And actually I can create several different looks with just this palette. I cannot tell you how many trips this palette has gone with me on. Unfortunately, it didn't go with me this year on vacation, only because I was trying out the 3 palettes from Uden's Eye. But if I didn't have those palettes, this was most definitely going to be included in my travel bag. It's just that easy palette to wear. Like, this palette is gonna look great on just about everybody. I love the 2 matte shades. We have a deeper shade and we have a lighter shade, and then we have those 3 fun shimmer shades. To me, this is just such a user-friendly, very easy palette to work with. I almost ranked it number 1, but I think you guys might already know what number 1 is. And coming in at the number 1 spot is the Circo Loco palette. This is Natasha Denona's first really colorful eyeshadow palette. This palette was released earlier this year. This is an expensive palette. This is one of the $129 palettes. I believe I only have 2 in that price point. That's all I have. That's all I've been able to splurge on, but I didn't mind the splurge on this one. I thought this was so much fun. I get so much inspiration from this palette. I just love to look at it. Like, looking at all of these colors, it just makes me happy. It puts a smile on my face. I love the blues and greens and the purple and orange. I love the blue and orange together. And in the review video that I did with this palette, I created 3 looks. And the first look I created was a blue and orange look, and I absolutely love it. The performance of this palette is just 110%. I love it. I think this is just so much fun. If you love colorful makeup and you're getting into Natasha Denona, you want to try her amazing eyeshadow formula, don't hesitate with this palette. This is definitely a winner. It's going to perform really well. I can't say enough great things about it. It's beautiful. It's fun. I'm so happy that Natasha Denona created this palette. Alright guys, so that wraps up today's video, ranking all 11 of my Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes. What did you think about what was in the top tier? What did you think about what was in the bottom tier? How would you have ranked these palettes? I'm gonna rank them in the description box of this video. And guys, please let me know what your favorite Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette is in the comments of this video. I wanna thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. You all have a great day or night, wherever it is you all are at. Stay hydrated, guys. Drink that water, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.